Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cyndy. You're going to be seeing this on April 25th. Thank you very, very much for being here. Let's start there with the thank yous. So grateful that you've taken some time in your busy world to spend a few minutes in mine. Very grateful for that. It's lovely to see you all. And so, Dr. Carlson got the boot. What do we think that's about? I want to take a peek. I do. Now, personally, part of it was some of the stuff that was released through the court filings pertaining to Dominion. But I actually feel like this has more to do with, I think her name is Abby Greenbaum, I think. She is the previous employee at Fox who um, went from Maria, whoever she is, to Tucker Carlson's. There were all kinds of recordings of stuff that she released, and he treated her like crap, apparently. So I actually think it has a little bit to do with that. You know what it feels like? It feels like, the straw that snapped the camel's back, right? It was like there was just too much. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Tucker Carlson. Let's take a look at Fox. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on there. And of course, Smartmatic, that one's coming up, although that's further down the road. That one's going to take a while to work its way to the courts. But let's take a peek, shall we? Here we go. All righty. Tell me about Tucker Carlson. Tell me about Tucker Carlson. Tell me about Tucker Carlson. Now, none of us should gloat because, karma. But it doesn't mean we can't smile. It doesn't mean we can't be grateful that just another piece of, this sort of negative, lower vibrational energy isn't on our airwaves anymore. And he's going to go to, I'm sure, another network. He's AOI or AOIAN, whatever the hell it is, or one of those. But he's going to not be reaching such a broad audience. And that's helpful. Here we go. Let's take a look. Interesting. Okay. So he's starting off with the Queen of Pentacles. So this was a money decision, but I don't think it's that they couldn't afford him per se, as much as they couldn't afford the negative commentary about it. Fox has a habit of standing up. I mean, the whole Bill O'Reilly thing and the Roger Ailes thing, and it goes on and on and on. But the reality is that at some point, they, they have to make business decisions that make sense, I guess. This also does play into that feeling that I had that it was sort of that feminine energy. Hey, listen, rise of the divine feminine, eh? I mean, that's just what's going on right now. And so that also sort of fed into it. It was also a concern. Definitely no, there was too much exposure. The thing is that, and I'm sure he's not the first one to make this mistake, and I'm sure he's not going to be the last one. He started to behave as if he was the end all be all to Fox. He was the one. He was their guy. And, if you read enough of your press releases, you actually start to believe this stuff. And that I think was also part of the problem. It feels sort of like his ego um, just really grew to a point where, they kind of weren't really prepared to um, kind of let him have that sort of free reign. It's interesting though, because you know what? The King of Pentacles is here, which we know is my card typically for Trump. But it has two meanings at this point, and it's both about greedy kings. One is Trump, and it has something to do with the interview that he did on with Trump just a little while ago. Um, and the things that he just simply let slide in that interview. Like there was no call or no attempt to correct the record, or he just let the guy ramble on and say whatever the hell he wanted. The other side of this, though, is that Murdoch, this family is completely um, it's not motivated. It's focused and directed on money, accumulating it, acquiring it, having it, and so ultimately, on some level, and we may never know the whole truth of it, Fox made this decision for a business reason. There was a purpose. And I think that there's something that's going to come out yet that we have not heard about. And they're going to be able to say, well, we got rid of him. So therefore, he's going to, hmm, he's going to sort of, it almost feels like he's going to go quiet for a little while. He's going to work at almost relaunching himself. Now, I don't know if that's going to be to a brighter or a darker version of what's already out there that he does, but it definitely feels like there's going to be some strategizing, some figuring out. He is sitting as a hangman right now. So he's now in a holding pattern actually. I don't expect that we're going to hear from Tucker Carlson for at least, a few days, a few weeks, whatever it is. He's going to go quiet. And interestingly, he's kind of figure out how to sort of balance some of his resources or figure out the best positioning for him. Perhaps he's still a relatively young man, and so he still has a lot of career left ahead of him. So that's going to be interesting to see. But right now, he is definitely feeling unstable. This was a surprise. Okay, this was not something that was rumored about or maybe he thought might be happening. This was um blindsided. Okay. So again, there's more stuff that we don't know about that I guess Fox knows about. And this is a partnership that is now ended and has been severed. Okay. So as I said, intuitively, I feel like he's going to go on to another network. Sorry, that's not the right word. Another sort of streaming, something, some sort of a, you know, one of the lesser known kind of broadcasts, that are, all in, all Trump kind of thing. But we're going to see if he actually doesn't attempt to reinvent himself in kind of another way. We'll have to wait and see. But definitely, this was a surprise to him. This was not something he was expecting. In fact, more and more, he saw himself as sort of the golden boy of the company, right? I mean, he got access to all of those security camera feeds from January 6th. He had the interview with Trump not that long ago, he really did sort of see himself as the golden child of Fox, and I think Fox stopped seeing him as their golden child, and it was time to shake things up and move things along. I also have to tell you that I have a feeling that Maria, whatever her name is, who is one of the other sort of prime time hosts. I don't. I think she's also going to. I don't see it right away, but a little bit down the road, I think she's also going to either mutually agree to leave or decide to spend time with her family or whatever else. But it also feels a little bit like she is not on particularly stable ground right now. Okay. So interesting. So the other thing that's kind of been going on, I've been watching it. So it's Monday afternoon, right? So I'm watching it today. Is polls that came out that talk about how people really do not want to see a Biden Trump matchup. They think Biden is too old. They they don't have a good impression of him. And you know what? I want to take a closer look at that because I have always felt super strongly that, um, his approval ratings, et cetera, are going to go up. So I do want to take a look at that. The thing that sort of stumps me when I just try to think about it logically is, but who can step in? Like, who has the kind of political savvy to actually be able to take Trump on and push him back and put him in his place and keep him out of the Oval Office. See, that's what it is. It's like it's easy to say, oh, I think Biden's too old and I haven't seen, whatever, whatever. I'm not all that impressed. It's like, okay, all right, well, okay, so who do you want? And crickets, right? I'm not hearing a whole lot of anything about that. And, yeah, there's one of the Kennedys has decided he's going to run. There's somebody else. Um, don't have what it takes. Not for this day and age, not for this time. Or certainly energetically, they don't have what it takes right now. Let's take a look at Biden. President Biden trajectory, and I'm using his title very purposely. President Biden trajectory, President Biden trajectory. Okay. You know, he is sort of wholly focused on continuing to move the country out of the troubled waters that it is in. That's his focus. That's his intention. He doesn't care about being the greatest president that ever lived. He doesn't care about opinion polls, frankly. He is so focused on getting this country sort of back on some sort of an even keel. That's his focus. That's where his attention is. Make no mistake. If yeah, apparently he's announcing his presidential run sometimes this week, apparently. Um, this is costing him. This isn't a sacrifice to him, okay? This is not a cakewalk for him. The guy is like 80 or almost 80 years old. This is a lot. But his sense of duty is so strong and the desire to it's not take things back, but it's try to bring back something that looks like normal. Because what you have right now is you have two parties in your country. You have the Democrats and the mega Republicans. And I know that there's like a whole bunch of Republicans that aren't mega Republicans, but they're also not standing up and they're not speaking out. So their silence makes them complicit. I don't care. That's the way it is. He is going to continue moving forward with his message. Again, super focused. But this is what I'm really liking for him. He has the Nine of Pentacles here. He has the Wheel of Fortune, and he has the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords has often been one of my cards for him. Sometimes the King of Swords shows up for him. But that's where we're at with him. So as he moves forward, it really does feel at this point, in any case, that he is going to move forward. And I think that more and more what you're going to see is a coming together, a sort of more and more things are going to become apparent. People are going to become more and more aware. Um, and I honestly, and I think right now, like right now, um, it's too early. The election is too far away for people to honestly be focused on it. I mean, unless you're like a political nerd, like we all are. Um, you're not paying attention to what Biden's doing, or you're not paying attention to what Trump's doing. You're like worried about freaking people getting shot when they go grocery shopping or knock on the wrong door. People have other things on their head right now, other concerns. And so the election is sort of in the distant future somewhere. And honestly, in some ways, that's where it should be. Um, I've said it before and I will say it again. I don't think Americans do themselves a tremendous amount of favors by literally having elections like that virtually run nonstop. It's like no sooner is somebody elected, within months, everybody's talking about the midterms. And after the midterms, everybody's talking about the reelection. It's like heavens. Just to give you an example, and again, I'm not holding Canada up as any sort of shining globe, but we actually have an election coming up in May here in Alberta, the province that I live in. And it hasn't even been officially announced yet. Okay, like, we know probably, we know who's going to be sort of fighting it out, but the sort of the political ads, the kind of that's just recently started. Okay, like honestly, no one's thinking about an election in January or February, right? But in the States, it's just this perpetual like noise, and that honestly makes it difficult. But look here, we've got the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords. Okay? He has the strength, the stamina, the emotional commitment, the intelligence, and the focus to get this job done. So, as of right now, it looks like Biden will run, and it looks like he is going to win. All right, let's just add a couple pendulum questions. I'm keeping this video a little bit shorter, I hope. Um, just because that, frankly, what works for me right now. All right, here we go. Okay, pendulum. Okay, so it's going side to side, so that means it's ready to talk. First question: did Tucker Carlson see um, his departure from Fox coming? Was that something that he even sort of maybe had on his radar? Yeah, round and round, so no, he didn't see it coming at all. He is probably gobsmacked, the poor guy. He's probably just sitting there. I bet his jaw hasn't come up off the ground yet. Is the other primetime host, Maria, whatever her last name is she Actually, I have that wrong. I have that wrong. She's not another primetime host. She is who this Abby, employee Abby, was working for before she went to Fox. So she has a lot of information, and that's what Fox is nervous about with her. But I'm is this Rhea person going to continue to stay on with Fox, or because I'm getting a really strong impression that she's leaving. Is she going to be leaving Fox? Okay, so yes. Laura Ingram's, of course, is the other primetime one, right? There's Tucker and Hannity and her. Um, okay. Is Joe Biden going to have a successful run for the presidency? Okay, so right now the energies are yes. Is Joe Biden going to finish this term in office? Yes. And is Joe Biden going to start his second term as president? Yes. And right now, it feels a little too far to actually see where that's going to take him and where that's going to go. So we're going to let it stay there. So today, Tuesday morning, and I guess, jury selection starts for the E. Jean Carroll civil case against Donald Trump. Is the jury selection going to go ahead today? Yes. Okay. Is there now, last week I said that it felt as if she was going to end up settling, and it felt like there was going to be a very big push from Trump land to get her to settle because they just don't need any more bad publicity. And the judge has not put up with any of their crap. And so they don't have a lot of avenues with which to travel down successfully. So let's see. Is there going to be a settlement considered? Okay. And see, this is the thing. In a civil case, you can settle, I think, right up until the time that the case is handed to the jury. So, as of right now, is the intention to go forward with this case? Okay, yes. Is it likely that the evidence is going to become so negative for Trump that that is where the serious consideration of settling will come in? Yes. And listen, Trump doesn't, and he settles all the time. That's part of his pattern. What will be interesting to see is how much comes out before, um, and if a settlement is offered and reached. Okay. Um, is Biden going to continue with Kamala Harris as his running mate? Yes. Okay. Alrighty. That's what I know today. Thank you very, very much for being here. I will be back later on in the week. Until then, take care and be well. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.